Welcome to Policy on Demand's Week in Review. I'm Andrew Pryor. Major global and domestic developments dominated the news and permeated the political mood this week. While this is unlikely to change in the coming weeks, there was activity in other areas on our collective radar. For the many questions about refunds following the Supreme Court's IEEPA decision, there is an answer. First, the Trump administration's request to delay implementation of the Supreme Court's decision was denied. Second, that was followed by this week's order from the U.S. Court of International Trade that all IEEPA tariffs be refunded. In addition, administration officials said temporary tariffs imposed by President Trump following the Supreme Court decision will be increased this week from 10% to 15%. Administration officials also said more permanent Section 301 tariffs will be in place within 5 months, once trade investigations are completed. And the EU Parliament further postponed consideration of a US-EU trade deal, saying the US needs to provide more clarity that it will honor the agreement. The midterm election season officially got underway with the first primary elections held in Texas, North Carolina, and Arkansas. Notably, Senator Cornyn of Texas is headed to a primary runoff at the end of May. Two Montana Republicans, Senator Daines and Representative Zinke, this week became the latest members of Congress to announce their retirements. The House is now tied with 2018 for the most retirements this century. In the 2018 midterm, Republicans lost 40 seats and Democrats gained the majority. The question of when the president will submit his FY 2027 budget to Congress came up a lot this week. Typically, it's the beginning of February, but the week of March 30th is said to be the target date. The budget marks the beginning of the appropriations process for the fiscal year that begins October 1. And businesses and others peruse the budget for tax proposals. It is unclear, however, whether the budget will include new tax proposals, which were noticeably absent from the State of the Union address. Meanwhile, members of Congress have been rolling out their own ideas. Senators Ted Cruz and Tim Scott this week revived the idea of executive action by the president to index the capital gains tax for inflation. At a Ways and Means hearing this week, several Republican tax writers pressed the IRS for administrative action related to the research tax credit, digital assets, and third-party litigation funding. This focus on administrative or executive action may be a tacit acknowledgement of the difficulty in enacting any tax legislation this year. Looking ahead to next week, Congress still needs to resolve the impasse over Department of Homeland Security funding for the current fiscal year. One possible path forward may be to combine DHS funding with an emergency supplemental appropriations bill that may be needed given the ongoing U.S. military operations. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and take care.